This is the Synido TempoPAD C16, which is a wireless MIDI controller with a built-in battery. It's got 16 pads, knobs, faders, Bluetooth connectivity, and plenty of other features that we'll get stuck into in this video. It's a brand new product from Synido, and if you're checking this video out in May of 2025, you'll also find some special offers and discount codes down below, so you can go and get your hands on one of these at an even cheaper price. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Now, if you are new here, do consider subscribing. There's loads of content on gear reviews, tutorials, MIDI, all of that good stuff. So get yourself subscribed if that's something of interest to you. Now, firstly, thank you to Synido for sending this out for me to check out and demo on the channel. This isn't a paid or sponsored video, so all opinions will be my own. Now, as always with Synido products, they come really well packaged, and they even come with all of the things included in the box for you to get going, which includes a fairly solid carry case to keep this safe and secure, a user manual, a USB-A to USB-C cable, a USB-A to USB-C adapter in case you require one of those, and three 3.5mm TRS to 5-pin MIDI adapters as well, because we do have 3 MIDI ports at the back of the unit, which are MIDI in, MIDI out, and we also have a MIDI through as well. And whilst we're talking connectivity, we only have a single USB-C connection to provide power, charging the device, and also connecting to your computer. And that's it. It's really simple in terms of the way that it's been designed. We have a power on and off switch located on the left-hand side. And also, as mentioned, we've also got Bluetooth connectivity as well. In terms of build quality, it's extremely well built and by far the most premium product that I've tested from the Synido range. The pads are very responsive and soft touch, and the knobs and faders feel silent and sturdy, and they've got a good weight behind them as well, so they do feel very premium. And the buttons are also soft touch. They provide a click sound when pressed, so you do have some feedback when you are using them. So what is it and what can it do? Well, to put it simply, it's a battery-powered wireless MIDI controller with Bluetooth, and it features 8 knobs, 4 faders, and a good range of buttons that can be mapped to send a variety of MIDI commands. We've got 16 backlit velocity-sensitive pads, which again can be used to send CC or PC messages as well. And we've got 4 banks, A, B, C, and D, so we'll have access to 16 pads in each bank, and that gives you a total of 64 pads at your fingertips. And I've also got 4 banks for the controls, which are the knobs and faders as well. So that will give me instant access to 32 knobs and 16 faders by just selecting whichever bank I want to use as well. Now, below the 4 faders, we've got 3 buttons underneath each, which are labeled mute, solo, and then we've got an option to arm the recording as well. So if you were going to use this directly with your DAW, it's very easy to just set these up to correspond with each of your tracks. But of course, these buttons can also be mapped to do other things as well. So it's very customizable in that sense. Above this, in the top left-hand corner, we've got a 360-degree main control knob. And I will say that all of the 8 knobs are endless as well, but you do have some feedback on screen to show you whereabouts you are in terms of your parameter changes there. So we do have a small OLED display, which shows various information depending on what's being pressed, moved, or last selected. And next to this, we've got 4 orange cursor buttons as well, so we can easily navigate through the onboard menu system. Now, on the right-hand side above the pads, we've got lots of other buttons that we'll talk about. Firstly, the pad and control banks, which will easily switch between the options of selecting the bank for the pads. So you can see we've got pad bank selected and it's bank A. If I change to bank B, we've got a different color. So now that's green, bank C is blue, and then bank D is like this greeny yellow color. So we've got some different colors to show us which bank is being selected. So if I go into pad bank and select D, for example, and then go over to control bank and I select my control bank A, so that's going to be for the knobs and the faders over here. And then I can easily toggle between pad and control bank, and you can see whichever bank I've selected last is remembered by the system. So I've got pad bank D selected over here, and then control bank A selected, which is on this side over here. So great visual feedback there to let you know which bank you have selected. We then have the mode button, which will select between custom mode and keyboard mode. So basically, custom mode will allow you to go in and set the device up exactly how you'd like. And then if I press keyboard mode, we now have a typical keyboard layout on the right-hand side with the pads. So this is something that you might be familiar with in terms of a typical keyboard layout. And then we've got a nice visual representation of the intervals in terms of tones and semitones by the different colors on the pads as well. Now, if I go back into custom mode and then hold the mode button down, I enter what's called dark mode. And this is the same as custom mode, so I can customize it exactly how I'd like. But I've also got a nice visual representation for the colored pads to correspond with whichever bank that I've selected as well. So that's a really great option to have if you wanted the pads to be lit up with the color of the banks as well. And then when you press down on the pad, the color will be disengaged, so they will stay lit when you're playing. So next to this, we've got 3 buttons to control our step sequencer. So we've got step, which will turn on or off the sequencer feature. I've got play, which will then play through each of the steps. And obviously I can go into the sequencer and turn on or off whichever of the steps that I want to be active or inactive. And then the record button will then record that sequencer pattern that I've set up as well. Now, if I hold down the step button and then select a different pad, for example, so this one here, I now have a completely different color illuminated, and that gives me a completely different sequencer track. So because we've got 16 pads, we've got 16 different tracks available to set up our sequencer. So I've got pad number 1 down here, that's going to be yellow. Let's go to this one here, and that's going to be blue. This one here is going to be white. This one here is going to be more of a pinky color. And this one over here is going to be red. So you've got 16 different tracks available when it comes to using the sequencer. And I think that's a really cool feature to have on board as well. So we also have a note repeat button as well. When it's turned off, we'll just hear the single note. And when we engage it, we can hear that note being repeated. And I can change this with the tap tempo as well. So we can go faster or slower. The tap tempo also corresponds with the sequencer as well. So if I go back and play through my sequencer, I can slow down that pattern, or I can speed it up depending on how fast or slow I want that to be. We have the typical octave up and down button, so that gives us access to more pads as well. And below this, we've got different velocity types as well. So we've got fixed, which is the white one. We've got soft, which is blue, medium, which is green, and then hard, which is red. So when you're playing around with the pads, you'll be able to see and hear the different velocity types that you can get. And obviously, I've got a visual representation on the screen over there as well. Next to the velocity button, we have the Bluetooth feature. And when it's blue like it is here, it means it's connected to a device. And I've got this connected over to my Mac over here as well, which is a really great feature to have on board a device like this. And the fact that it's battery powered as well means I've got no cables running out of here. It's completely wireless. I'm sending information over to my DAW, and I'm not plugged in for power at all. So it's a brilliant option to have something like this in your setup. And then finally, we've got these transport panel controls here, which are the typical play, stop, and record. And we've also got this 16 level button, which basically splits up the velocity layering of the pads. So if I turn this on, you can see pad number 1 down here is fixed at a velocity of 8. And then I'm going to go up incrementally. We've got 16, 24, and then the final pad here will be 127. So if you were going to use it in that way, basically the lower the pad will be, the softer the sound, and then the higher the pad, the harder the sound. So how do we customize the device on board? Well, it's completely possible. We don't need to use an external editor all the time. There is an option to go and download the external editor, so you can do this from the comfort of your computer. But it's great to have the ability to customize this exactly how you want on board the device itself. Now, if I go ahead and turn the orange knob over here or press these cursors over here, they don't do anything. We can't see any changes on the screen at all. So what we need to do is we need to push down on this knob, which is a button as well. And when I hold that down into position and then turn something that I want to change the parameters of, so for example, we'll turn knob 4, you can see I've got K4 selected on the screen. So now I can go ahead and turn this knob and cycle through the menu and decide exactly what it is I want this knob to do. So if I go back here, you can see we're sending a CC message. I'm going to go across using the cursor options, and it's CC number 4. If I want to change that, I can cycle through all of the different CC values here. We're just going to leave that on CC number 4. It makes the most sense at the moment because we are using knob 4. And then I can move down. I've got the minimum and maximum values of that knob as well. If I go back up to CC and toggle to the right, I can also change this now to be a pitch bend, and I can see what channel it's on, which is channel number 1. And I've got some different values that I can go ahead and change as well. And obviously, just below CC, we've got the channel number, which is MIDI channel number 1. So you can determine whichever channel that you want this knob to be sending information on. And we're just going to leave it on channel number 1 for the purpose of this video. So that's the knobs. Let's say I now want to do that with the faders. Let's do fader number 1 over here. So again, I hold down this orange button, move the fader. You can see we've got F1 selected. And again, it's a CC message. I can also send PC messages on here and pitch bends as well. So I've got slightly more options with the faders than I do with the knobs. And I can do the same thing with these buttons here. So I'll hold it down and press the M button underneath fader number 4. You can see that's giving me the option to set up commands that I want using this button here. And it's the same for all of these buttons. And I can do that with the play, stop, and record buttons over here as well. So I'm going to go back into custom mode, and I'm going to do this with the pads as well. I'm going to hold down this main control knob, select this pad here. And you can see now, because I'm in custom mode, I can do exactly what I want with these pads. You can see I've got pad number 13 selected. It's currently sending a note message on a particular channel. I can change that to a CC message, and I can change it to a PC command as well. You can see if I just scroll down, I can also change whichever color I want this pad to be. And it's great to have the option to customize the pads to do whatever we want in terms of sending the information, but also to be able to customize this in terms of the colors that you want the pads to be on board the device as well is a fantastic feature to have. So well done to Synido for giving us that option to further customize this as well. So connecting via Bluetooth is really simple. Let's say we want to go ahead and connect to our Mac. All I need to do is turn on the Bluetooth button here. It will turn red. And then I go into my audio MIDI setup on my Mac. You can see that if I select the Bluetooth button, I've got the option to connect to my Synido TempoPAD C16. I hit connect. And after a couple of seconds, this light turns blue. And now we're connected wirelessly to the Mac. Now, if you're going to use this with Windows, the manual does say that you'll need an app to help with the connection. But all of this info can be found within the manual itself for you to go and check out. And you've also got options to go ahead and connect to Android devices and tablets as well. So loads of potential with this compact MIDI controller. And that's just a brief overview of some of the functions and features it provides. Now, what I'm going to do to demo this is I'm going to use a few of the banks to control various features within my RC600 loop station, my HX Stomp, and my iPad. And at least then we can go ahead and see how we can use this in a live situation. All right, I've done my best to get everything in a single shot here. So we're at the pedal board. I've got the TempoPAD C16 just resting on the top. Below that, you can see the RC600 down here. I've got my HX Stomp top right, and I've got an iPad with Sample Tank loaded up, which is a free app to trigger some sounds. Now, what I've done off camera is I've set things up so Bank A sends commands over to my RC600, Bank B over to the HX Stomp. So if I press Bank A, and I'm going to go into Control Bank, the first 4 faders that I've got over here are going to control the volumes or the levels for tracks 1 to 4 on my RC600. So to show you that's working, I'm going to go and load the tracks up. You can see tracks 1 to 4 here. And when I turn the volumes of these faders, you'll see them go up and down. And to do that, all you need to do is make sure that your parameters, so your CC commands in this case, are corresponding with the assigns that you may have on an external device, in this case, the RC600. And then I've also set some pads over here to record on a couple of the tracks. So pad number 1 will record and play track 1 on the RC600. And then the pad above it, pad number 5, will record and play track number 2. So that's really easy to do. You just need to make sure that the assigns correspond with the CC messages that you want to send out. I've also set the output level to this knob over here as well. So if I go back to my mixer, you can see the master out. I can control the master out with this top left-hand knob here. And I've maxed that out at 100, so it'll never go above 100 as well. So it's just handy to have these controls, maybe mount this on a mic stand, and then you're not constantly reaching down for the output level. You can just use this at your fingertips if you need to. So that's an easy way of controlling various things within a loop station like the RC600. I'm going to go over to Pad Bank now. I'm going to press Pad Bank B, because this is going to control a few things within the HX Stomp. So you may or may not be able to see this, but the bottom 4 pads here are sending PC messages to send out to the HX Stomp so that the correct presets are going to load up. In this case, preset number 52, 53, 54, and 55. And then also, if I go into Control Bank B, which again corresponds with the HX Stomp, I've set this knob here to change the decay of the reverb. So I'm just going to move the tempo pad forward a little bit, and you might be able to see over on the HX Stomp screen, this is now changing the decay of the reverb. So to do that, we just needed to go into the assigns in the HX Stomp, go to controller assign, and then map this control to send the correct CC value to change that decay. So there's a couple of things again that I'm using within Bank B to send over to the HX Stomp. And then finally, I'm just going to turn the Bluetooth on. And then on my iPad down here, I'm just going to connect to the Synido TempoPAD C16 using the MIDI emitter app. That's now connected. And if I open up Sample Tank again and go over to the keyboard mode, we'll be able to hear some sounds within Sample Tank. So this is done over Bluetooth wirelessly. Let's pop the mic a bit closer to the iPad so you can hear it. So there's a first look at a great new product from Synido. As I say, it looks and feels really premium and certainly the best product that I've tested in their range. I'll leave links for you down below so you can go ahead and check it out. And as mentioned, there are a few discount codes currently available as well. So if you are checking this video out before June 4th, 2025, you've got the option to save some money if you did want to purchase this device. Now, let me know in the comments what you think. Are you planning to get hold of one of these? If you've got any questions, I'm always happy to answer those. Get yourself subscribed to the channel to stay in the loop when it comes to fresh content like this. And as always, everybody, I'll see you in the next one.